as we get further into the season, teams have had time to practice things. And one of the things that they are practicing is going quickly, particularly after they make a big play. They want to rush down the field and they want to get up there and they want to snap before the defense has a chance to really get set and perhaps gather their thoughts a little bit, get instruction from the coaches. And then, of course, at the end of the game, they're looking to conserve time. The thing that we have to realize, the bottom line, is that we can't allow the snap until we have at least the down box in place. And hopefully the chains are on their way so we have some semblance of a line to gain. But the other thing that we have to consider is that we've got to have all 7 officials in position to officiate. That includes the umpire. Beginning to see situations where the umpire is up over the ball or holding things up while we're getting the chain set and that sort of thing. And they're snapping while the umpire has his back to the snap. Not only is he out of position, but it's also a very vulnerable position for that official to be in. So what we need to strive for is getting the ball down in place sometime between no later than 28 and no sooner than 32. Now, if you think about it, 8 seconds goes by pretty quick. It's going to take a period of time for those linemen to get to the new succeeding spot. But that should be our goal, somewhere between 28 and 32. But we can't let that snap go until we're really ready to officiate the game, because if we do, we're putting everybody in jeopardy. And it might be the call of the game, and we're not where we need to be because we've not had a chance to get the back judge or the deep wing, or maybe even the line of scrimmage people where they belong. So talk about that with your crews this week and make sure that that we're taking that into consideration, and the bottom line being that we're ready to work that play. Okay. The other thing that I just want to mention, and I'll touch on it in greater depth at the end of the session. We're getting to the end of the year, end of the season. This is week 8, and we've come a long way. And hopefully it's been a successful season for you and your crew. And we may be getting a little complacent about things. We may be getting a little overconfident. Trust me, this game will humble you very, very quickly. And we just need to make sure that we're keeping our focus, that we're doing all the prep work leading up to our game. And those of you that have signed on tonight, and those of you that will watch the recording, that's a good start, but it's not the whole enchilada. We need to make sure that we're looking at our own video. We're making sure that we're communicating within the crew. We're making sure that everyone is arriving at the same time at the same place. So we're going through things that prepare us mentally to go on out on the field and be ready for that opening kickoff. So we've got to keep focused. And if we do that through our processes, making sure that we stay faithful to those habits that we've developed, positive habits during the year, and that our preparation is sound, we're in a much better position to go out and work that game. So with that being said, let's jump into the video. We're going to start with Dexter and Monroe, and this was a blowout game. You probably saw that score, but there were some things that came out of it that are really important for us to consider. And the other thing I want to mention once again is that when I don't even know who worked this game. So this is not about, praising or disparaging anyone. We're here to learn from each other. So we do have the opportunity to learn from every situation. And there were some teachable moments that came out of I think it was 60-something to nothing. It was a running clock in the second half, and it ended very, very quickly, as it should have. Okay, so we're going to look at 3 plays that are going to involve OPI. And the thing we have to keep in mind, we go back to our basics, um, where, first of all, where do potential blocks occur? If blocks occur at or behind the line, they can block unlimited. If they block discernibly downfield, which number 14 is doing here, then this pass has to be touched, not caught, but touched at or behind the neutral zone. And here the snap went from, I believe, the 24, and this pass, maybe it was a 25. This pass is touched clearly beyond the 25. Now we get the benefit of a big line. Line of scrimmage people, every single passing play, you need to know whether this pass is touched behind or ahead of the line. Now, it's got to be discernible, okay? So if it's not clear, it's that close to being over the line or to the next line, then we're going to recognize that as being behind the line. So if we're going to haul out a flag for OPI on a play like this, we've got to make sure that when we look at the video, there's no question about the fact that this pass is touched ahead of the line. In this particular case, whether this play was intended to be caught behind the line, or if they don't know the rule, not sure. It doesn't matter. This is a foul. This is a foul on 14 for OPI. And of course, it's going to bring back a touchdown. All right, next clip. All right, now we're going the opposite way. Once again, don't concern yourself with that. That's another issue. So we're snapping from the 41. 14 is going to go down and block and form this guy up. So where is this ball touched? Now, that's not an aggressive block, but this pass clearly crosses the line of scrimmage. We snapped at the 41. This ball was thrown to a receiver that was at the 39, and the ball hit at about the 38. So once again, this is OPI. We should be fouling number 14 for a block downfield on a pass that crossed the line. Now, deeps, if you're not sure, you see 14 block and you're not certain where this pass is touched, you need to throw your flag. And at the end of the play, you need to come in and talk with your line of scrimmage person and say, did that pass cross the line? If the answer is yes, then you report OPI to your referee. If he says, no, it did not, then you're going to go to your referee and you're going to say, we have a flag pickup for OPI. The pass was touched behind the line. Then the referee is going to flip on the microphone and say, there's no foul for offensive interference. The pass was touched behind the line. Second down, first down, whatever happens to be. And then we move on. And again, we don't want to belabor the time, because the longer we wait, the more likely it is we're going to have debate after we've come to our conclusion. All right, next clip. Now, this has happened a couple times during the game. And here, 14 is going to block. We're going to throw a flag. We're going to get 2 flags down. But if you go back and you look, on this particular occasion, the pass is touched behind the line. So we missed 2 that we should have called. And here we get one that really is behind the line. So we got to know, line of scrimmage guys, we and gals, we are depending on you to know where this ball is touched. All right, next clip. All right, now this is something that we have talked about, and that is being alert after a team scores a touchdown. We cannot presume or assume that they're going to go for 1. we need, in fact, the best scenario is that we wait in our positions until we get a kicker and a holder, and then our field judge comes in to the upright, and our side judge comes in to be the double umpire. There will be time to get people into positions. This was handled actually pretty well. And it's the model that we want to use. We started in 2-point attempt position. Okay, we have a kicker and holder in place. And now we move to the proper positions. We're going to have one that didn't turn out quite as smoothly here in a minute. Okay, next clip. What number is this? 40? All right, look at the top of the screen. Now, this is a little different. I should have put this with the OPI situation. This might look like this is ineligibles downfield. In this particular case, the receiver comes back and touches the ball right at about the line of scrimmage. Now he's going to come down with feet beyond the 39, but that's not discernible. That's at the line of scrimmage. We're going to assume that that's legal. The other part of this, though, that we need to take into consideration is that the 2 yards is determined at the time that the quarterback releases the ball. So we have, if we look up at the end of the play or after the pass is touched and say, oh, we got linemen downfield, then we're probably going to be wrong. We have to ascertain where those linemen are at the time that the pass is completed. So between the 2 line of scrimmage people and the umpire, we need to work as a unit, just like we do downfield, and we should be asking each other questions. All right, we had linemen downfield, but where were they at the time of the release of the pass? And oftentimes our umpire is the person that has the best sense of this because he's working pass protection and he's also seeing the lineman come downfield. So we can't assume anything. And when in doubt, when you're certain that you have linemen more than 2 yards downfield, throw your flag and again, come in and rely on your short wing to tell you where the pass was touched. Okay, next clip. All right, this is 54.
Yep, we're on 54.
All right, look at number 76 here. 76 comes downfield. So there's the question again, when is he downfield and when is the pass released? All right, the pass is gone right now. All right, we snapped at the 26, and at this point he is at about the 23. So he is downfield. But the other issue that we have to face here is this offensive interference, because 14 is coming right behind him to catch this ball. So proper call here would actually be 2 fouls, ineligible downfield and offensive interference. If he is downfield and blocking and he's nowhere near where the pass goes, leave OPI alone and just go with ineligible downfield. But here it's within a couple of yards of where 14 catches his ball. Now, the other thing, of course, you probably noticed is our back judge leaves the goal line. He starts out at the goal line. This pass is caught at like outside the 15. So we didn't really have anything that caused the back judge to retreat off the goal line. We need to hold that goal line, make a determination, either moving left or right, so that we can box this in with someone moving towards the hash mark one way or the other. Here, that late cut, I'd like to see him go to his right, if at all possible, but get to one or the other so that we're bracketing with either the field judge or the side judge. All right, next clip. All right, this is what number, Gregor?
We're on 68.
All right. This may or may not be targeting. Referees, you don't have a discernible view here. If there's targeting, it's by the second guy in, but it's clearly roughing the passer. He's down, we get a flag down. But the other thing that we got to look for at the end of this play is over here towards the bottom of the screen. So let it run a little further. This guy coming from behind is just going to light up that guy, and 63 steps over him. Now we get a late flag here, but my point is we can't have tunnel vision, and we got to look for people that are out of phase. And number 17 is clearly out of phase. This is a cheap shot. It's clearly a UNR, maybe a UNS, and potentially a disqualifying foul. I guess not. It's not that severe, but it's certainly a foul that we've got to get. Okay. And eventually we get a flag from our back judge. Thank goodness. That would have been a really bad miss for us. But we, maybe we're all thinking about, oh my God, did that quarterback get targeted? Okay. Well, we got it. We got a very capable, qualified person back there to come to that conclusion. We need to make sure we got the other 20 or so players within our sights. Or we're going to look at a couple of plays here. This first one is going to be, there's going to be a lot going on in this particular play. This is a double-double. Now, this is a 5-person game. We're going to project this. It's difficult to work in 7, let alone with 5. But for the interest of 7-person mechanics, we're going to think of it from that perspective of 7. So what we have are a number of transition blocks that are occurring during this particular play. We can't be looking at the ball. We're double-double, and this is first half, so the back judge is going to be looking to the top of the screen, even though that's the short side of the field, because the back judge is going to shade towards the line judge's side when the formation is balanced based on the receivers. So the back judge has to make a transition. So that has implications for the field judge or the side judge. When you see the back judge has to transition to the other side, you need to understand that you're going to have a lot more people to watch, and you're probably going to officiate this from the back side. Initially, the side judge here at the bottom of the screen has a number of blocks that have to be considered. And then eventually the back judge is going to slide over and help with that. Now, the other thing that happens here is that the line of scrimmage official has to make determinations on forward or backward with the pass. So he can't get to the goal line as quickly as he would like to, but he's got to hold the line of scrimmage to make sure that we have that covered forward or backwards. We make a decision that it's inside the pylon, and probably everyone looking at this would see that the ball never gets over the pylon. This runner is knocked out of bounds at about the 1. We never get to the pylon. Now, if we have a deep wing in position, then this becomes a lot easier for us to handle in terms of determining whether this breaks the plane over the pylon or not. You can see there's a potential OH there at about the 5-yard line. So lots going on in 5-person mechanics, and should be handled much better, having everything covered if we are in 7. All right, the next clip should be number 48. Now the back judge is going to do this is fourth down, and the back judge is going to do a really nice job of recognizing when this quarterback becomes a kicker by backing up beyond his normal position. He immediately gives ground. And he is able, I can understand why we backpedal for a period of time, and he does a good job getting depth. But depending on the depth of the kick, you might have to open that hip and no longer backpedal and go into a full retreat. Here we're able to get back deep enough, get the beanbag down for the end of the kick, and it's handled pretty well. The key points here, though, would be that from a deep perspective, when you see that quarterback or the person that is directly behind the snapper back up, we should not be surprised. With our pre-snap routine, it's fourth down. It's about 5 yard line, 5 yards to go. It's on the negative side of the 50. We should not be surprised by a quick kick, and we need, without turning our backs to the play, we need to make sure that we get the depth to get back there to cover the action that is certainly going to follow. All right, the next clip should be number 61. This is going to be a catch, no catch situation. We're not going to get a discernible look at it. It's going to go to the top of the screen. That is really not the purpose of including this play. The purpose of the play is to recognize that this guy is stretched out and he does need to, unless we deem that he has firm control of this ball and his steps forward are a second act, he has to survive the ground. Now, what we can't see is when the receiver gains firm control of this ball. If there's a bobble at all, he needs to survive the ground or this is an incomplete pass. If he catches it cleanly immediately, then he takes probably 2 steps, dives for the end zone, second act. Okay, if he breaks the plane in possession of the ball, we have a touchdown. That's why gaining and determining firm control of the football is fundamental to catch, no catch. Now, again, if we are in 7-person mechanics, we were snapping from, looks like at about the 7, so we probably have the deep wings on the back pylon. Deep wings, you should have an opinion here. You know, if let's see, this is first half. Let's say it's first half. So this is field judge over there. You can see that this pass is developing. There's nothing else going on in that third of the field. So you're looking to help with firm control. And if you see that thing rattling around in there, and then he doesn't survive the ground, and you see your short wing ringing up a touchdown, you need to commit. And you need to provide your information, and maybe we got to reverse out of a TD and make this incomplete. But we are a team, so we've got to bring information when we have information. All right, next clip. I want to give high kudos to the umpire on this this particular clip, 101. I video evaluated this game, and I completely missed this. And the issue that he brought up is, first of all, we have the possibility of ineligible downfield. We are snapping from, it looks like we are snapping from the 3-yard line. So if we get to the goal line, we're beyond our 2-yard belt. So then we get into when is the pass released and where are we, where is that lineman at the point where the ball is released. Then the other thing that comes into play is, does this involve potentially offensive interference? So this is a play that in circumstance that would be worthy of our crews to talk about this weekend. And in my estimation, how this play unfolded, the lineman was right at 2 yards. He gets spun around by an opponent that he's blocking, which contributes to him going downfield. I don't believe that's the spirit or intent of that particular rule. And the other thing is that it does not appear to me that this has anything to do with this pass, and therefore we don't have OPI, because this player is not involved in defending the guy that ultimately catches the ball. So something to discuss in your crew meetings this week and this weekend. Just talk it over. What would be involved? Remember that for a quality foul, it's got to be visible, it's got to be material, but then the third leg of the stool is it's got to take something away. So if that act does not take something away, we're going to stay off of it because it didn't take something away. And conversely, if it does, we're going to foul it. All right, now the next game involved here is Grand Haven and Jenison. This first one is going to be a determination. It's going to go to the bottom of the screen, top of the screen. The question is, and the end zone view is the best look. Go to the end zone view, Gregor. All right, so this DB, is that a blindside block or is he attempting to get to the runner? Remember, by football rules, we give more latitude to players that are attempting to tackle the runner or to recover a loose ball for which they are eligible to touch or recover. So in this particular case, the determination needs to be, is this guy trying to make a tackle, or is he trying to punish his opponent? And I'll give you a definitive here. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt in this situation to number 11 as a defensive player pursuing the runner going wide. And I don't believe that this is the intent of the rule. And I believe that the other rule supersedes it. In this particular case, even though he doesn't make the tackle, this is a legitimate attempt to tackle the runner. All right, and then the final clip in this package is going to be this crew had a 5-person crew. They lost an official and they had to go to 4-person mechanics. Can you imagine that? Class A football, and now all of a sudden we don't even have a back judge in the game. So tough duty for sure. Now this defensive back gets beat. Initially, he's looking back at the ball. But as you can see, he knows that that receiver is far enough ahead of him that he's got to catch up. Now, we talk about the defender getting more latitude if he's playing the ball. Now, initially, he was looking back, but he turned his back again. Just because you look back at one point does not give you the get out of jail free card for DPI. You have to continue, particularly at the mesh point, to be legitimately playing the ball to receive the consideration. So in this particular case, this would be a correct call for DPI, not playing the ball with early contact. As you can see, he's not playing the ball at that particular point. So the takeaway here is that you don't, just because at one point during the route you were looking back at the ball, doesn't give you special consideration. You have to be legitimately looking back at the ball and playing it when we get to the point like we have here. All right, Gregor, let's transition now to Orchard Lake St. Mary's. All right, I'm going to let this run through and you tell me what you have. Okay, stop it, Gregor. All right, now if we had a poll going, what I would ask you is this a touchback? Is this a safety? Is this the runner out of bounds at the half-yard line? What are you going to do with this play? Why this is important is it gets us into football fundamentals. And what we need to consider is what put the ball into the end zone. What is the force or the impetus that puts the ball into the end zone?
All right, so we had 8 people say touchback, 2 people say safety, and 6 people say half-yard line.
Okay. Now, keep in mind, going in and coming out, the pylon is in the end zone. So it really is determined by where the ball is in terms of whether we get the ball out of the end zone or not. Now, in this particular case, we want to make sure that it's obvious that it gets out of the end zone. In this particular case, it is not obvious that it did. So right off the bat, we're left then with two choices. See, that ball probably is outside of the pylon. I would say it would be hard to make a case that that ball was on the field side of the pylon. So that leaves us with two choices. So what put the ball in the end zone? The pass put the ball in the end zone. So team A is responsible for the ball being in the end zone. So if it doesn't legally leave the end zone, it's a touchback. Now, what happens on this play if the teammate of the player that intercepted the ball had a block in the back in the end zone? Where's the enforcement spot?
I believe that would be the end zone, be a safety if there's a block in the back there.
That's correct. So knowing how the ball got to the end zone is critical. And if we have something like this, our side judge did a great job in this play. She recognized that the pass was going to the deep third of the end zone. She came down a couple of yards at what would be the back edge of the white. She's working this play back there, and then it's intercepted. She comes up to the goal line, stops the clock. She does not immediately make a signal, and now we have a conference that ensues. That is proper mechanics, both individually and also as a crew. This is an unusual ruling. It's worthy for us to get together to talk about it and come up with the information to the referee so that we can confirm a ruling on the field. So really well done by the crew. This resulted in a touchback, which of course we've got to explain, and that's an opportunity for our referee to use the microphone. And again, less is more. So in a situation like this, we're simply going to say that the result of the play is a touchback because the offense was responsible for putting the ball in the end zone and the play ended in the end zone. So by rule, it's a touchback, or words to that effect. Maybe better said than I just said it. All right, so another play that maybe we can talk about as a crew. That is one really large wingback. He's not a tackle. At least he's not a legal tackle. There is no way his head is not even breaking the rear end, the very rear end of the snapper, let alone the waistline of the snapper. We need to talk about making sure that our linemen are in legal position and that we don't let those tackles cheat. And in this particular case, this is too far back. We can't warn this player for this one. This should be a foul for illegal formation. Okay, we got to be aware of that. Line of scrimmage people, that's a part of your pre-snap to make sure you got 7 on the line. Well, that guy that thinks he's lined up as a tackle is not on the line. So we need to work on that. If he's closer than that and it's the first time that he's been in the wrong position or not where he should be, we can issue a warning to the player and the coach. But then from that point forward, every time he's not up on the line of scrimmage, we need to throw the flag for illegal formation. All right, then proceeding further during the play, our back judge maybe underestimates either the arm of the quarterback or maybe the speed of our receiver, and this gets up on our back judge a bit. And you can see that our deep wing at the top of the screen actually gets set for the play and should continue moving back as opposed to coming to a dead stop, because if this pass is completed, we still have goal line responsibilities. Now, the back judge does a good job staying out of the way of this. He's on the correct side of the being able to see through these players. If he was on the other side, he'd be looking through the back of the defensive, the DB. But our cushion is just a little bit short. And that's where maybe we've got to give up the back pedal and we've got to open the hip and give ground, make a commitment to that cushion so that we have a little better angle to look through these players. All right. Number 81. Now, we're going to get a deep fade, which is going to challenge the end line. It's going to come, well, I believe it's going to come from the top of the screen. Nope, wrong, bottom of the screen. Back judge is in perfect position. Now, again, our side judge moved a little bit towards the end line. And the reason why she didn't move sooner is she read this as being a middle of the end zone catch, which it was. Now, the talking point that I want to give to you is, all right, once you recognize that this runner is going to the ground, and the goal line is no longer threatened, then under control, come down the backside of the white a couple of steps to aid the back judge in confirming that we have survived the ground, okay? What we're going to get is we're going to get a banana route that's going to be run by the slot receiver. It's the second guy from the sideline. He's going to come out here and just kind of curl this around. It kind of jumped on us there. Now, the reason why this is in here is obviously the deep wings at the bottom of the screen. His responsibility is this widest receiver, and this receiver is just going to kind of come down and cut to the middle. So it'd be really easy for us to get distracted by that rather casual route and lose sight of the slot back that ends up running this banana route. But you can see here that our deep wing wasn't fooled. He got good depth and was able to cover this play quite well. The other thing to point out is that none of these receivers were in press coverage. So we have the latitude, all three of us, the short wing, the deep wing, and the back judge, to at least initially be looking at all three of these people and waiting for them to zone up. This should also help us to make sure that we have proper depth to cover this play. All right, next one should be number 15. This is going to be really close for kick catch interference, but he's going to pull up just in time, and the kick returner is not going to need to move up close enough that he gets in the way. Now, the kick returner obviously could have signaled for a fair catch, and it might have gone better for him. He chose not to, but he has the opportunity to make an unimpeded catch, which is what the rule is intended to provide to him. Now, as this blue player, this team A player breaks down, as he is stopping short of the kick returner, if this kick returner needs to adjust left, right, or forward, it is the responsibility of this team A player to get out of the way so he has that unimpeded opportunity. It was quite windy Friday night in addition to the rain. So it's entirely possible that this ball might have moved in the last few feet as it's coming down to the kick returner. It is still the responsibility of team A to be out of the way. So don't let them say, well, if it hadn't been for the wind, or no, if you're going to be that close, then you got to be prepared and agile enough to get out of the way. All right, the next one should be number 18. Now, this is going to be a broken play. So the question becomes here, is this a running play or is this a passing play? I think it was intended to be a double reverse pass to the quarterback, number 10. least that was the body language that I got out of this. But watch what number 10 does. That first contact is okay, but now he's blocking downfield. If this player, number 22, throws a pass, we got to recognize this as OPI. Doesn't matter what it was intended to be. This turns out to be a situation where we have a block downfield in the general vicinity of where the pass might have gone. So this would be OPI. All right, number 20. This is going to be a sideline catch. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get overly concerned with are the feet in. And I know that's important, but this receiver is going to the ground, okay? See, we're not even considering what happened to this player out of bounds. We are presuming or assuming that he survived the ground and maintained firm control. What I would like to see the deep wing do here is to remain stationary, maybe even a little bit deeper than he ended up. And then, okay, you've confirmed that you had initial firm control of the ball. You've confirmed that you have at least 1 foot down in bounds. But now the third leg of the stool is, does he survive the ground? So before even looking at your short wing, and conversely, the short wing should be doing the same thing. Before you look at each other, you should be looking to see if this receiver survived the ground, right? We confirm that, yes, he has. All right, now our eyes can come together and confirm, yes, we've got a good catch. And then we want the short wing to come up and to take this spot. But we missed a key component on this play. It worked out great. I'm really happy that it did. But if this ball comes loose, I'm not sure that we get this right. So the other talking point is back judges, don't go to sleep out there and don't assume that everything is comme ci, comme ça over there. If you can see this ball rattling around, or if you can see it on the ground, get your fanny over there and give your information, and we may have to change this from a completed pass to an incomplete. Okay. Number 24, I like to include clips that bring a little humor into the game. Watch what happens to the back judge deep on this particular play. Kick save and a beauty. With hockey season right around the corner, I just thought that was an interesting one just for fun here. Let that ball go. We got ball people that'll retrieve it. We'll get the ball. We don't need to be soccer. We don't need to be Pele. And actually, I hadn't spotted this before, but we've got a guy that's kind of trolling around down here. See that guy right there? Big, tall guy at about the 20-yard line. That probably ought to be a talk to. It's probably after the ball is released, but it's something we ought to bring to that player's attention, and maybe even the coach's attention of, hey, if the timing is a little bit different, we had contact downfield by one of your eligible receivers, whatever that kid's number is, 88, I think it was. Bring that to their attention, and then make sure you share that information around among the crews so that if something similar happens to it down the road, we're alert to it. All right, 25. Now, pre-snap.
Rich, I got 26. Is this it?
Thank you, 26. All right, so we're going to have a play that's going to go to the top of the screen. Yes, it's going to get to the top of the screen. Now, what you need to be aware of is as this play develops, look at that. We got a really, really excited Lake Orion fan in a wheelchair inside the limit line. Now, what I would say to you is, again, part of your pre-snap routine is to be aware of your surroundings. That is not a safe situation for that fan. It's not a safe situation for you. It's not a safe situation for players. We need to get those kinds of, for lack of a better term, obstacles back away from the playing surface. I'm sure all of the best of intentions here. And maybe that's the team mascot. I don't know. But if something bad happens over there, not going to matter that she's the super fan or whatever the case may be. So we have to have that awareness to make sure that um, for your safety and the safety of others, that we have that area clear. We're not supposed to have anyone other than game personnel and team personnel inside the limit lines. You can see on the over here behind the offense, we've got people that are inside the limit line. And we need to move them back. And if we're not getting cooperation, we need to go to game management so that we do get them back. All right. We should be on number 44. This is going to be a really nice cushion by our field judge. Nice cushion. He's backpedaling. Okay. His cushion was good enough that he can backpedal. I would prefer the shuffle rather than a backpedal, but his cushion is good enough that he can get away with it. And it helps him to be able to see through these players and to nail DPI. Now, the other thing that I would say, back judges, is you ought to have an opinion here. Now, I understand the contact is coming from near the sideline, but if you're a little bit deeper, you're going to have the ability to look through this play and to see that this is really a cutoff. This defensive back is beat, tries to cut off the receiver, drive him out of bounds, or slow him down enough that this will not be a completed catch. And it's a good pickup by our field judge, our back judge with a little better cushion. Would have had a better view of it as well. And I'm not saying that we got to have two flags, because if you're not certain, don't throw a Me Too flag. But where he's at, he really is not able to see much other than the defensive back's number. See, he's on the same plane. The deep wing is deeper than the back judge, and that should not happen. All right, a couple more. Number 69. All right, this is going to be another play where we're going to have is this guy attempting to tackle the runner, or is he executing a low block on a blocker? Now, I got myself in trouble last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, when we got into hurdling, and I've backed off of hurdling. And maybe some people didn't agree with me on the earlier play where the defensive back pushed the offensive player out of the way to go try to make a tackle. In this situation, in my humble view, we need to give the benefit of the doubt to players that are attempting to tackle the runner. I don't think that he went over there solely with the idea of taking out the legs of the blocker. I believe he went over there recognizing that maybe he was the last opportunity to keep this from being a touchdown, and tried to get in there to make that tackle. And because he caused the guy to have to jump over him, pursuit was able to knock him out of bounds. So I see this as being a legitimate opportunity to tackle the runner, as opposed to trying to knock out the interference. Now, I'd also mention that this runner jumps over this down defensive player. I don't think this will be controversial because this guy is on the ground. If he was upright, yeah, I would agree, based on everything that I've read in the last week or so, that yeah, that would be hurdling. Here, I think it's legitimate that he jumps over these players that are down. Again, something to talk about this week with your groups. All right, 73.
Hey, Rich, we got one comment on this
Yep.
from that. And that says, shouldn't we err on the side of caution and safety?
Well, that's the other side of the coin. So and I don't necessarily disagree. And this probably is one of those situations that if we were in a classroom and this was an essay, that you would not be graded on the basis of whether you're right or wrong. You would be graded on the basis of making an argument and defending it. And I can certainly understand, and I could make an argument, this is a foul by this player for a low block. I believe I can also make an equally prevailing argument that he's trying to prevent a touchdown here by trying to get to this runner's legs before he can score. So there you have it. Probably if we did a poll, might be 50-50. And even if we had like football rules experts, they wouldn't necessarily agree on this, but make your stand and then defend it. All right, this should be number 73. Our field judge is going to make a really nice read, but we need to have him see, he doesn't move off of his line. He makes a read that this is a mid-range kick. If you go back, he's right at the 50-yard line. Recognize it as a mid-range kick, doesn't move. Players pass him. He turns. He's looking at his keys. He's also looking to read where the kick is coming down because that's going to determine point of attack. That's what we want. We don't want you to leave unnecessarily and end up getting too close to the engagements that are going to occur. If you try to come down to, say, the 40-yard line, it's going to be pretty hard for you to see through that. So just remember those mid-range kicks. All right, let's drop down to number 109. All right, here's our confusion. Okay, now you can see our short wing at the top of the screen. Well, first of all, let's start with the referee. This is a right-handed quarterback, all right? So he's trying to get over to the throwing shoulder of this quarterback, which he should, but of course, if we're thinking about this, and by the way, this was a blowout game. Lake Orion pretty much destroyed Clarkston at Clarkston. So I'm sure that there were our concentration, but that's when we got to be at our best when things get out of hand. Because when you've got a game that's out of hand in terms of score, it can go downhill quickly. So, our referee needs to be thinking. He's probably thinking, why are they going for two? Okay, it's late in the game. Why are they going for two? It doesn't matter. We got to approach it from the standpoint of determining, is this a 1-point attempt or a 2-point attempt? So he should be already in position on the right hand of the quarterback. The short wing at the top of the screen is nowhere near the sideline. He's in jeopardy. His safety is in jeopardy. Our coverage is in jeopardy. We've got a deep wing that is in the process of getting back to the end line. We are in panic mode right now. We're not ready to officiate this play. So it just, once again, should be a reminder, start as if it's a 2-point attempt. And then when we recognize kicker and holder in place, okay, now we shift to our PAT position. All right, let's go to 127 and we'll call it a night. Late in the season, we ought to be thinking about short kicks. We should be thinking about short kicks from the opening kickoff of the season, but teams are fighting for playoff positions. They have a lot on the line. They practiced this onside all year. They haven't used it. They want to use it sometime. They're going to pull it out maybe this week. We got to be ready for it. Now, in this situation, we were ready for it. We got 6 in the box. And once again, I want to remind you that in between the PAT and the free kick, the three on both sides of the field should convene a little conference, review who's going to handle what initially. And then once your job is over, like as the back judge or the umpire, once you've cleared the restraining line and they're legal, all right, now you can check down to the next responsibility that might be early blocks. Same thing for like the short wings. He could be looking for not only the short blocks, but have an opinion on whether this ball is illegally touched by team A before it gets to the 50-yard line. So we need to review the responsibilities. We need to be prepared for kick, catch, interference, low blocks, kicks that go immediately into the ground, all those sorts of things we need to review so that we don't have to do all that processing when it happens PDQ on the spot. Week 8, lots on the line. Even if you think you're in a situation that's a mismatch or what have you, we need to be at our best. You know, we put all the time and effort into this all summer, all fall. Now is not the time to just kind of decide to take the night off or even to take a playoff. We need to be on, ready to go from the opening kickoff and see it all the way through to the very end. Stick together, communicate. If you have information, please bring it up at the time. Don't wait until we get to halftime and then come in and say, well, what did you have over there? No. If you're not sure what somebody has, you need to go over and ask your question. And likewise, if you've got information, the worst thing you can say is, well, I knew that he'd lost control of the ball on the sideline. I figured that you knew. Oh my God, come on. We got to be better than that. We've got to communicate on the field. We've got to stick up for each other. And we've got to look at this from a team perspective across the board, particularly in our dyads and our triads. You know, we talk about the deep three. We talk about the two sideline partners on both sides of the field. We talk the referee and the umpire being a team. The umpire and the two line of scrimmage people are a team to determine what happened first. Was it a false start or was it encroachment? You know, did the false start create movement by the defense and we're fouling the offense? Was the defense in the neutral zone before the lineman moved, in which case we're going to enforce encroachment? All those kinds of things we've got to think of and make sure that we work through. So at the end of the day, we're absolutely proud of the job that we did and that we know that we did the very best we could under the circumstances that we have. Pretty quickly here, playoffs are going to come out. I don't know when they're going to come out. I know they're working on them. I know that it's underway, but let's make sure that that doesn't become a distraction for us as well. You know, we can have conversation about it, but when we get to the key time, we need to set that aside. We'll talk about that in the car on the way home or at the watering hole that we're going to go to after the game. For that time that we're together on the field, our concentration needs to be right there. So again, thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for those that will watch the recorded version of this. Enjoy it. You know, it's a real honor and a privilege to do this. And if it was easy, there'd be a lot of people who'd be willing to do it. We know that it's not. So thanks for what you do and just keep doing it to the very best of your ability.